Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today, we review a Casio Wave Ceptor model reference WV-59. This can be seen as the current version of the watch I reviewed a year ago and loved it, the WV-300. If you want to see that review, please do feel free to click on the link in the corner of your screen. I loved the retro future design of that piece, and I can say that this model follows that design language to the letter, even adding some cool details like the antenna dish illustration used for indicating the signal strength and the result of last night's reception. Although they seem like pretty much the same watches, they're not, as this one sadly is on a lower level. Not only does it feel less sturdy and much more plasticky than the 300, but the bracelet is also very light and tinny, while the 300 bracelet had a nice heft to it. I can't remember if the 300 came with a metal body, but I do remember it felt heavier than this. On this, the case is plastic with a metal skin of a sort on it. There's nothing wrong with that, especially given the low price of this watch, but I would personally prefer if Casio offered a premium version of this as well, as I would gladly pay a bit more because I simply adore this design. It looks futuristic, it looks funky, and it looks cool. It looks like a watch from the future I would have imagined when I was growing up, and I guess that gives it its charm to me and probably most people who grew up in the 80s and 90s. The lack of heft does have a bonus of comfort as the watch just disappears on your wrist. With 39mm in width, 48 lug to lug, and just 85 grams in weight, it is very comfortable and easy to live with. Function-wise, it is a pretty standard Casio watch if we ignore the self-adjusting function. One thing to note about the radio reception is that this is a multiband 5, not the usual 6. So this one is lacking the ability to receive the data from the Chinese atomic tower. It can pick up the signal in the rest of the world though, so if you live in Japan, Europe, or USA, you will be fine. The rest of the functions include a world time, a countdown timer, a 1/100th of a second stopwatch, and one alarm. It also has the holy grail detail when it comes to Casio watches, and that is the fact that the current time is visible in all the functions. But not everything is perfect, as both the countdown timer and stopwatch sadly go up to an hour only. But that is not the biggest problem with this watch. The biggest problem, and probably the biggest difference between this and the 300, is the lack of solar charging. So despite having a power-hungry function, such as radio reception, this watch is powered by a regular replaceable battery that is rated to 2 years. In the case of this watch, that is not really a deal breaker for me, as it doesn't have that many functions I would play with or avoid playing with to save the battery. But still, it would be nicer to have a peace of mind and not think about a future battery change. The screen is what we're used to seeing on entry-level Casio models, meaning it is excellent. For some reason, these cheap and simple models just have an amazing contrast that many G-Shocks lack. Combine that with the oversized time numerals and an excellent backlight, and you have a watch that is easily readable in any condition. Another bonus with this can be seen if you look at the date. The majority of Casio watches come with the US date display, with month first followed by the date, while this is one of few Casio models where you can change the date format so it displays the date first, the way the rest of the world uses it. It is a small detail, but to people like me who grew up on the international system, a valuable one. This being an entry-level model means it comes with an acrylic crystal instead of mineral. And because it is the highest point of the watch, you can expect it to scratch up easily. Luckily, I learned on my Bulova Devil Diver that these do get buffed out pretty easy with a regular metal polishing paste, so I stopped worrying about it as much. Like I said, this is an entry-level Wave Ceptor model that does lag behind the WV-300 I reviewed in more than a few things, but then again, it is less than half the price of that one. And you get an even funkier design with this divided screen layout. I personally love this thing, but would definitely upgrade to the 300 or some other, more premium model if the funds would allow it. As usual, I will be doing a detailed tutorial on all the functions of this watch, so do stay tuned for that video as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and until the next video, bye.